You thought retirement would bring you closer, but instead it exposed every crack. The quiet got louder and the tension got sharper.
Now you're wondering, is this it? If your marriage is being strained by retirement, watch this video. It might just save you.
Jody and I both went through a phase of what I would call semi-retirement, where we were working a little bit, but not really working. We were just kind of checked out of our jobs. But we found ourselves with a lot of free time, spending more time together, doing whatever came up. And what I found in that time was a lot of quietness, a lot of not sure what we're going to do today, a lot of, what do you think we should do? I don't know. What do you think we should do? We didn't really have a plan. We didn't really have a routine. And frankly, I withdrew a little bit. I did get quieter, and the quietness got louder. Our intimacy started to fade a bit. So there was a lot going on in the very beginning of our retirement, and that led us to obviously making some dramatic changes. But I don't know if you want to weigh in on that in the very beginning.
I think that, there was a line out of a song where it said, the indecision's killing me. I mean, I think without the purpose, without intention, without a routine, which we were running from and happy to let go of, but without it, the days just blended together and we kind of were silently walking through the house in our own bubbles, I would say.
Yeah, and we got in trouble. So this might be happening to you too. We thought that proximity would equal intimacy. The fact that we're not in our jobs all day long, but we're together, this is going to be great. We're going to want to be really intimate all the time because we have this time, but it didn't work out that way. It got stressful, it got quiet, and it didn't work out. And the other thing is, especially for me, and maybe it's for you too, I don't do really well with hard conversations. I have a very hard time sharing my feelings and my struggles with Jody, whereas Jody is really good at it.
Well, and I do think avoiding conversations, especially avoiding big conversations, is easy to do when you think you have a lot of time. When you're on a limited time schedule, we only have between, 7 and 9 p.m. at night or, 9 and 10 at night, whatever your time frame is, you tend to pepper that time with those important conversations, and we just avoided them.
So let's think about a new perspective then. Retirement isn't just a reward. It's really a time to reset and to recalibrate and to rethink what it really means to spend time together and what our marriage looks like and what our relationship looks like.
And I think it's important to create what we call kind of emotional fluency, where, some days are better than others and you give grace to that. Some days are great for both of you. But in order to have those conversations, creating the space to have it is really important.
So let's jump into things you can do. So the first step would be, or the first thing you can do, is to revisit your shared vision. We had a shared vision before we retired, and that it didn't pan out that way. And the retirement that we have today, 7 years later, is a lot different than what we thought. We were doing the whole pina coladas on the beach thing, and that's great for a day or two, but it's not good for 7 years. I don't know what kind of shape we'd be in today had we done that. But you want to sit down with your wife, partner, spouse, significant other, or even yourself and say, what do I really want the next 20 or 30 years to look like?
And I think it's important not to assume alignment on everything. You might need to table a conversation here or there, but the next point is to really create safe space for emotional honesty. And if you don't do that, you end up either yesing each other to death or being diametrically opposed, and you're not getting anywhere. So creating the space for emotional capacity on each side. And even sometimes, like I said, just table the conversation. It's not going anywhere today. Let's move on to something else.
And I would say, particularly for the men, you've got to rethink this idea of vulnerability. I struggle with it. I was on the phone yesterday with a good friend of mine, a guy, and I can really open up as to what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. No judgment. I don't feel like he's going to shame me or anything. It just feels like a safe place. We keep working on that together, and I keep prefacing those moments when I say I'm about to get vulnerable with, I'm about to get vulnerable. I want to share something with you. I want to tell you how I feel, and I don't really need a response. I just want to tell you how I feel.
Right.
That's a big step for me. It's a hard step, and maybe it's for you. So here's an action that you can take to start making like a list of feeling words that I feel upset, I feel anxious, I feel distant, I miss you. And start using those words in your conversation instead of, when you do this, this is what happens. It gets me so mad. And it's not you, it's me, how I feel when Jody does something, or how Jody feels when I do something. So that's a good action step for this one.
The next one, though, is to really figure out and redefine what quality time looks like. Mark and I are not proposing that you are joined at the hip, that you do everything together, that you're in lockstep on every discussion, but you do have to figure out, what is quality time going to look like for both of you? Is it active time? Is it quiet time? Is it passive time? Is it intimate time? Is it growth and learning time? But what is it that you both consider to be quality time?
Well, here's what we do on Sunday nights, and you can do this too if you want. On Sunday nights, we start looking at our week, and it's, typically crazy. But we make sure we drop in things that are important to us to do together to keep us connected, and be really wary of the things that pull us apart. Well,
we each have something, so we might as well go.
You go.
I think some of the things that could potentially pull us apart are things that we're dealing with that are outside of our family nucleus. Maybe you dealing with a relative that's not within the family nucleus, or a friend, or you've got other things going on, conversations going on, and I don't know about it. So you might be in a mood or a little prickly, and then I come in like kind of hot, like, let's go. And you're like, I'm not really up for that, or vice versa.
So that's actually a good thing to bring up. There are moments during the week when we have, I don't like to curse because no one ever says, could you curse more?
Right.
But we just have a storm amongst us because something happened. Sunday nights, we plan out and anchor some things that pull us close together. Food shopping, cooking, golf, walking the dogs, going to the beach.
Sunsets.
We always anchor in some things that pull us together. That gives us energy for when the stuff that pulls us apart or disrupts us, we can handle it.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's the next one?
The next one is something that you started doing before I did, and then we started doing it together, and it's really to build a routine together. That's harder than you think, and it was definitely harder than I think. So anxious to hear what you guys say. So drop a note below for sure, because Mark gets up early, 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. I'm a 5:30, 6 a.m. girl. So already there's a couple of different hours. But because of that, you wanted to start going to bed early. And he literally started to want to go to bed early at like 10 o'clock from when we were working, work and then catch up and do all the things with the kids. And then it moved to 9 o'clock. And now he's moseying up the steps at 8:30. So I made a commitment to get into bed when Mark gets into bed. Now, I don't go to sleep, but it did change my routine so we could build that routine together. And on the flip side of that is, in the morning, we both always have been kind of move your body in the morning people. So our morning routines have really anchored in our day, and it kind of sets our communication off on a good note, I think.
I would say the morning routine piece and the evening piece right before we go to bed are solid. In the morning, I get up earlier, but at 5:30, Jody's downstairs, and we're having coffee together from 5:30 to 6. We're talking about our day. We're walking the dog together. We're having coffee. We're getting ready to go to the gym at 6:15 for a 6:30 class. Then we come back and have coffee again. So we have coffee, we go to the gym, we get sweaty, we work hard, we come back, we have coffee. And then whatever happens during the day.
Right.
And then in the evening, we have dinner together. Most nights, I either cook, you clean, you cook, I clean, we cook together. We have a meal, and then we watch an hour of TV, and then we head upstairs. The point is, whatever works for you, plan some things with some people who are important to you in your life so that you have building some routines that are grounded and solid.
Right. And the next thing is I believe in individuality and your own passions, your own thoughts, your own even group of friends. If that's, that's how I function. My group of women friends, Mark knows them all, or most of them, but doesn't really interplay with them. So maintaining this individuality in your marriage, I think, is super important. Each partner having their own passions, having their own projects, having their own groups that they deal with, whether it's a spiritual group, a men's group, a ladies golf group, a Bible study group, whatever it is, it really adds to the time that you're together. You get more conversation because you've been out in a different group.
Hey, we wanted to let you know about something really special and unique that's happening. We know you've been watching us on YouTube and we appreciate that. For the first time ever, and maybe the last time ever, Jody and I are running a live masterclass in September of this year, 2025, Retirement Reset, from drift to discovery.
It starts September 8th, and it'll go every Monday for 8 weeks. We'll go through our entire theory on retirement drift and work you through our 7 pillars that will help you eliminate the drift in your life.
There's a link below to a webinar that we did just this week explaining everything about it and showing you how you can sign up. We hope to see you in September.
I know when I come back from my ladies golf, I always have, oh my gosh, I played with this lady yesterday.
Story after story.
I know, but it's so fun to tell you because I'm meeting such interesting women. And
well, your passion when you come back about the 4 hours that you spent with these women, you laughed, you giggled, you told stories, you met some new people, and it's just great to see that energy. And I think that's the point here. Jody has stuff she does alone and she loves it. And she doesn't love it because I'm not there. She loves it because she's doing what she wants. And I have the same thing. So the big point here is, and here's something you can do, is write down a couple of things that each of you can do this week on your own that brings you energy. It doesn't all have to be together all the time. That's actually unhealthy. So the other thing that you want to think about, this is number 6. I don't know how long our list is today, but this is number 6. You really need to make sure you prioritize physical intimacy and emotional pleasure. So what does that look like? That doesn't mean you have to have sex. What that means is you need to have intimacy. You need to be kind with your words. You need to be kind with your... Jody loves a back rub.
I do. I'm always
when
like,
I walk up behind her and give her
massage.
a back rub, she wants a back rub.
I love it.
So it's the little things like that that will draw you closer because you know your partner wants that.
Yeah,
right?
And really that emotional presence that you talk about, that you show each other, that really does lead to intimate moments. For me, at least. I mean, without the emotional presence, if it's just like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Do you want dinner? Where do you want to go? Did you walk the dog? Did the dog poop? We tend to talk about that quite a bit. Back and forth, there's not that sense of intimacy. And then the desire starts to fade. So really prioritizing that makes a big difference.
Here's something to try this week. We've heard this old thing about date night. Date night, how important it is. We tell our kids that. We told ourselves that. We never had date night. All the years we were working.
Never's a big stretch.
Okay. Hardly ever had date night. So now all we have is free time. So do we do date night or does every night a date night? Well, how about trying this? 1 night a week, set aside your phones, cook dinner together, go out, whatever it is, but spend the night sharing 3 things you love about the other person. 3 things you're grateful for about the other person. 3 things that the other person does to make your life better. And take turns and go back and just spend an hour over dinner talking like that instead of the news or the kids or whatever. Talk about each other and how much you mean to each other. I think we need to do that tonight.
I'm game.
We should do it right now. All right.
With the camera on?
Sure, why not? All right.
The next one is, as you're moving through retirement, you're moving through your relationship, your key relationship, your spouse-partner relationship, whatever the relationship is that is top of mind to you, really find time to celebrate things you've done well. And if you've had a good day, and if the connection was there, and if the intimate moments were great, and if you did something tiny, a tiny little thing that made the other person super happy. You know, you guys may have seen I make these dark chocolate, no sugar, peanut butter filled little pieces of candy for Mark because he loves a piece of candy after dinner, before he goes to bed. Just a little something that is not loaded with sugar, but and I do that for him because I know it makes him happy. And that to me is a small win.
But here's an action step for this. Grab a jar and grab a sticky note. We have sticky notes here?
Yeah. We have a lot of them.
We finally bought sticky notes at Staples the other day. Write down on a sticky note each day something about the other person you're grateful for. Put it in the jar and then read it at dinner.
Oh, that's cute.
Why don't we do that?
Well, a sticky note, you'd have to fold it in half because otherwise it would stick to all the other notes.
I know. But anyway, try that. That might work at bringing you together. This marriage thing, this relationship thing is hard. I tell people all the time, it's hard being a human. It really is. It's hard being a human and live in a home with another human. So keeping that relationship tight and strong is really important. Let's answer some questions our team put together on this topic. So here's Linda from Michigan. My husband and I are suddenly spending all day together. Yep, I get it. That happened to us. But we feel miles apart. It happened to us too. How do we create space without making it feel like we're pulling away from each other? So, Linda, making space for each other. You know, we talked about a lot of these things here today, but oversimplified, I would certainly talk about it and use the feelings word. Like, can we sit down and chat about a relationship? We've been retired now for 3 months together. We're in our discovery years. You know, we love hearing what Mark and Jody have been doing. Let's watch this video again. But let's do some of the things that are in the video. Let's plan some alone time. Let's make a list of some things that we want to do separately. Let's make a list of some things we want to do together. I think the big thing is to talk about it.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I think it's interesting. Before you got married, Linda, you may have had to do something like a pre-Cana. We did couples therapy before we got married, and it's all about communication. It's all about responding, not reacting. It's all about being able to have a safe space and open and talk about what's going on.
Right.
So I think in retirement, your relationships communication is still very critical.
You hear us talk a lot on this channel about habits. And maybe you've got some bad habits that you need to break yourself. We created a free download, is below, the 5 bad habits to stop while you're retired. So download that and use that as a tool to break some bad habits.
All right, here's Susan from Vermont, who's 68. I love my husband, but I don't feel emotionally safe sharing how lonely I feel in our relationship. That is so sorry to hear that. I love my husband, but I don't feel emotionally safe sharing how lonely I feel in our relationship. How do I bring this up without it sounding like blame? Great question.
It is a great question.
Because the U word is bad.
Yeah, I would always, and we go through fits and starts with some of that, depending on what's going on. I can certainly get very focused on the kids, the grandkids, the dogs, the neighbors, my pop, whatever. And that takes a lot of attention away from Mark. And that's a me thing. It's not a Mark thing. And I think, starting out by saying, I feel this way, as opposed to you are doing these things, makes a big difference.
We just did that last week. We were in the car and we had just had company for 10 days in a row. A lot of company. And it's not a bad thing. We love having our kids visit. But it puts us into a mode of caring for others, but not each other. And I said to Jody, I need to talk to you about something and I want to share it with you. I don't want a response. I just want you to listen carefully and think about it. And we could talk about it again in a couple days. And I said to her, I feel emotionally alone right now. I feel like all of the time that we and you are spending taking care of others, we're not paying attention to each other. In my case, I don't feel like I'm being paid attention to. And I feel, secondly, is that our intimacy is starting to fade because of that. And I just said, I don't want to hear what you have to say, but I just needed to say that. But it's just, again, that whole idea of communication and just saying how you feel. And you know what's the nice thing to say to your husband is, you know what, I miss you. We say this a lot. I miss you and I miss us. And sometimes in a text I'll do that. It's been a busy day today, sweetie. I miss us.
Right.
And it kind of just is a cute little way to interact with each other. All right, what's another question?
Okay. Robert from Texas. Retirement gave us time, but now we both are staring at each other wondering, what are we going to do with it? How do we build a new vision together when we never talked about vision before? And that's a really good point. And when we say the word vision, we do lose people now and then, because you may have been in a corporation where you had vision statements or mission statements and you're kind of over it. But really, the vision is your shared dream, right? It's your shared dream of your best day in retirement. And what does that look like? What are the parts and how do you get there? It's not the mission statement. I don't know if you guys ever did it, but I know when I worked at Chubb, we had to do them. And it could be one sentence. Most of the time it was this crazy run-on sentence. And they limited the amount of words, so your word choice and your selections were spot on. This is more, what's your daily dream? What looks great to you for today?
Yeah,
and does it look great for both of you?
What does my best day look like? And it could be different from Monday through Friday and then Saturday and Sunday. But either do this project separately and then compare notes, or do it together. Or pick 2 days a week you want to spend together doing something. But, you spent 20 or 30 years in your career and you had a vision all the time. And the vision was to get to this point where now you're in your discovery years. But this isn't like a 2-year gap. This is 20 or 30 years of your life,
yeah.
Sometimes longer than your career. So you've got to put some effort into planning that, sitting down, making a project out of it. Do it an hour a week for the next 5 weeks, or an hour 2 days a week.
And sometimes you're not going to agree on what the perfect day looks like. So my recommendation would be, so your perfect day, let's do yours on Monday and mine on Wednesday. And on Friday, let's figure out what else we can do.
Yeah, Tuesday's my day.
Yeah.
And Tuesday's your day. We have alone days, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
So I think
that kind of works.
And make it fun and be light. One of the things that I get criticized for a lot, my mom used to tell me that I was 16 going on 32. I'm too damn serious. Lighten up, relax, have fun. This is the best phase of your life, the discovery years. There's a lot to learn. You can grow, you can change, but make it fun.
Right.
All right, here's Claire from Chicago. Oh, I love this because I struggle with this. I'm Claire from Chicago. My husband and I avoid hard conversations by staying busy. TV, errands, distractions. How do we build the courage to sit down and talk about the stuff that actually matters? That's a little bit similar to, whose question did you just do?
Robert from Texas.
Robert from Texas. Plan an hour session and just say, hey, you know what? I'm struggling right now with my life. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'd love to sit down and kind of compare notes. What are you struggling with? What am I struggling with? How can we support each other? How can we start to think differently about this phase of life? And just sit and block it out for an hour. Have a cup of coffee or tea, whatever. I think it's better to do this in the morning before your day gets started, and there's a lot of other pressures and anxieties. And just have a start time and an end time. Take some notes. Don't judge. Don't be critical. Don't push back and say that's a bad idea. Every idea that you and your partner have is a good idea because it's their idea. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but I think you just need to sit down and say, let's talk about how we feel about our life together.
And I also think it's important to unpack what is difficult about the conversation, because just saying a conversation is difficult, I'm not even really sure what you mean. So what about the conversation? Is it emotional? Is it inflammatory? Is it one-sided? What about it makes it difficult? And I know for me, if I have to have a difficult conversation with Mark, and I'm actually not afraid of a difficult conversation, I will unpack how I'm feeling on paper so that I recognize where I might be getting a little volatile in the conversation. I recognize it ahead of time by unpacking what's difficult.
And we have an agreement. When Jody does get, how she calls volatile, I know that she's not directing that anger at me, or it's the way she communicates. And we've worked hard at that. You know, we went to a therapist before we got married, and it's one of the things that he asked us, would you ever say anything to the other person on purpose to hurt their feelings? Absolutely not. So when Jody gets very direct with me, I know she's not trying to hurt my feelings. She's just being really direct. And we just have to be okay with that. I am okay with that.
And I have a different approach to being direct. You know, I grew up in a house where direct was actually nicer than beating around the bush and not saying what's on your mind and having a lot of anxiety and going into a cave and shunning another person and cutting them out and not talking to them. In my mom's world, that was more mean than just being direct and saying what's on your mind.
Yeah.
So we just grew up a little differently.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to work that through.
Yep.
If you like this video,
You're going to love this next one too. We'll get back and Jody will say we'll never get those hours back. So we're getting really good at practicing what we preach, because in our retirement course we talk about the 3 types of friendships: friends you invest in, friends that you maintain, and then friends that you really need to let go.